Listen closely, because what I'm about to share could be the very thing that prevents you from undermining everything you've diligently built over the past months. If you're reading this around December 4th, 2025, as the supermoon in Gemini graces the sky, it's crucial to understand this now is not the time for vocalization. It's neither the moment for sharing nor for offering explanations. Resist the urge to defend yourself or to give voice to your emotions. I realize this might run counter to your immediate impulses. The potent energy of this Gemini full moon is likely creating a compelling need to communicate, to unburden yourself, to finally express those thoughts you've been holding back. However, recognize that this overwhelming urge to speak is a deceptive trap. Succumbing to it could sabotage your progress, setting you back months, even years, in your journey. Consider this a critical warning, far beyond mere spiritual musings or gentle advice. It's a direct alert concerning a specific pitfall awaiting many, especially those on a conscious path, during this full moon, simply because they're unaware of the energetic dynamics at play. Therefore, before you dispatch that text, make that call, or publish that social media post, and most importantly, before you engage in that conversation you believe is essential or offer explanations to those undeserving, pause. Devour every word I'm about to reveal. What I'm about to share will illuminate precisely why maintaining silence is your greatest asset right now, and how breaking it could jeopardize everything. Let's begin by examining the energetic landscape of this Gemini supermoon, which makes untimely communication so fraught with risk. Gemini, governed by Mercury, the planet of communication, information, and mental acuity, already fosters a natural inclination to converse, disseminate, and exchange ideas. However, this isn't just typical Gemini energy. It's a supermoon in Gemini, amplifying the communicative drive to an extreme. It's not merely a desire to talk, but a feeling that you absolutely must, as if your very being will implode if you don't release what's within. Staying silent may even feel physically agonizing. And here's the crucial point. This amplified urge to communicate doesn't originate from your higher self. It's not a divine nudge prompting you to speak your truth. Rather, it arises from your ego, your unresolved wounds, your ingrained patterns, those aspects of yourself that are in a state of panic, sensing the impending massive change and desperately trying to dictate the narrative before it occurs. Your lesser self, the wounded ego-driven self, understands, on some level, that you're poised for a breakthrough. It recognizes that you're on the cusp of transformation. It knows that the old version of you that's been steering your life is about to be superseded by a more empowered version, and it's terrified. Thus, it attempts to retain control by compelling you to speak, to act, to do something that will tether you to your former reality rather than allowing you to transition into your new one. This explains the clarity of the instruction: maintain silence, not indefinitely, nor as a permanent lifestyle, but specifically within this period. These critical days around December 4th. You need to embody sacred silence, bite your tongue, and resist the overwhelming temptation to explain, defend, share, or express. Understand that every word you utter right now either contributes to constructing your new reality or contributes to dismantling it. Given your current emotional state, the intensified energy of this supermoon, and the heightened mental activity associated with Gemini energy, you're far more susceptible to uttering destructive words than constructive ones. Allow me to specify the types of communication you must vigilantly avoid during this time, as knowing what not to do is just as vital as understanding why. As I outline these, pay close attention to which ones you're already inclined towards, which ones you're contemplating, which ones your mind keeps circling back to, as these indicate the specific traps laid out for you. The primary communication to avoid involves explaining yourself to those who have consistently shown they don't understand you. This is crucial, as many individuals on a conscious path stumble here. There might be family, old friends, or colleagues who have repeatedly misunderstood, judged, or questioned your choices. During this full moon, an overwhelming urge to finally make them understand may arise. You might feel compelled to make them understand why you've changed, why you've been distant, why you've pursued different paths, and why you're no longer the person they once knew. You might believe that, with the right words, you could finally make them grasp it. However, truth is, those destined to understand don't require elaborate explanations. They comprehend intuitively. They witness your growth and celebrate it. Those who don't, who are critical or confused by your evolution, won't comprehend, regardless of how eloquently you articulate it. Their lack of understanding isn't due to insufficient information, but a difference in vibrational frequency. They operate at a different energetic level than you do now, and no amount of explanation can bridge that gap. Therefore, expending energy trying to explain yourself to them is not enlightening them. It's depleting yourself. It lowers your frequency to align with theirs, providing them with ammunition to judge you further during this full moon. If you feel that urge, ask yourself, has this person truly understood me before? Have they celebrated or resisted my growth? Do they support my evolution or feel threatened by it? If the honest answer is that they don't understand and feel threatened, no explanation will alter that. Save your breath, conserve your energy, and most importantly, protect your frequency. You owe no one an explanation for your transformation. Your growth is not up for debate, nor is your evolution subject to their approval. Allow them to remain confused, to judge, and to comment on how you've changed, while you remain silent, focused, and committed to your path, regardless of their understanding. The second type of communication to avoid is defending yourself against false accusations or misunderstandings during this full moon. Given Gemini's influence on communication and information, expect an increase in gossip, rumors, misunderstandings, and false narratives about you. People will make untrue statements and assumptions about your life, choices, and motivations that are entirely inaccurate. Your immediate reaction will be to defend yourself, correct the record, and ensure everyone knows the truth. Understand this. Though defending yourself amplifies the accusations, energizes the lies, and keeps you entangled in the drama, rather than rising above it. When you respond to every falsehood, attempt to correct every misunderstanding, and argue with everyone holding an opinion about you, you're essentially saying, "Your opinion matters. Your judgment affects me. Your words have power over me." The more you defend, argue, and engage, the more power you cede to the very things you seek to stop. The most potent response to false accusations is often no response at all. Silence in the face of falsehoods is not weakness, but strength. Sovereignty, a declaration that I know my truth, and I don't need to convince anyone else. I know who I am, and won't waste energy fighting those determined to misunderstand me. Those committed to believing lies will find ways to distort even your defense. So why provide them with material? Why give them your attention? Why grant them the satisfaction of knowing they've affected you? During this full moon, you'll be tested specifically on this. Someone will say something entirely false or unfair about you, triggering a surge of righteous anger and a need to set things straight and ensure people know the truth. I urge you, resist this impulse. Allow the lie to exist and the misunderstanding to persist. Let people believe what they will, because those who matter, those truly aligned with you, won't believe the falsehoods. They recognize your character and see your truth. Those who do believe the lies aren't your people anyway, so why seek their approval? The third communication to avoid is the premature revelation of your plans, dreams, or next steps. This is a common way that many undermine their manifestations. They become excited about a project, a plan, or an impending action and want to share it, the new business they're launching, the relationship they're entering, the move they're planning, or the project they're developing. In their excitement, they fail to realize that prematurely sharing their vision diminishes its power. Here's what happens energetically. Talking about your plans before they manifest disperses the energy. Manifestation requires concentrated, focused energy directed toward a specific outcome. By discussing what you're creating, you scatter that focused energy, giving fragments of it to everyone you tell. Worse, sharing your vision opens it up to their doubt, fear, limiting beliefs, and skepticism. Even positive responses unconsciously project limitations onto your vision. That's a great idea. But is it realistic? That sounds exciting. But what if it doesn't work out? I hope it happens. But things rarely go as planned. All that doubt, fear, and skepticism contaminates your manifestation, introducing discordant frequencies. Under this Gemini supermoon, where communication and mental energy are amplified, this contamination occurs even faster and more intensely. Thus, discussing your plans during this full moon isn't merely sharing information, it's sabotaging your success. The universe respects sacred silence and supports those who can keep their vision private until it's strong enough to withstand external energies. Consider pregnancy. A woman typically doesn't announce it immediately, especially in the early stages. She holds it privately, protects it, and allows it to develop safely before revealing it to the world. Your dreams, plans, and visions need the same protection. They require gestation in silence before being born into the world. During this full moon, if you're excited about something you're building or planning, keep it to yourself. Don't post about it on social media. Tell friends or family, or seek validation or input. Hold it quietly in your own energy field. Work on it privately and build it in silence. Only reveal it once it's manifested, real, and solid enough that external opinions can't shake it. The fourth type of communication to avoid is emotional dumping on those unequipped to hold your energy. This is particularly crucial during this full moon because the Gemini energy amplifies not only the urge to communicate, but also the intensity of your emotions. You're likely feeling overwhelmed, anxious, frustrated, angry, sad, or confused. When feeling this much, there's a natural urge to reach out, vent, and to share the emotional burden. However, not everyone can hold your energy, nor do they have the emotional capacity to receive what you're carrying. Dumping your emotions on those unequipped leads to one of two outcomes: they absorb your energy and become overwhelmed, transferring your burden to someone else, or they can't hold it and reflect it back to you in distorted form. leaving you feeling worse. During this full moon, be very selective about sharing your emotional reality. Ideally, don't share it at all. Instead of reaching out to people, reach inward. Instead of venting to friends, journal. Instead of calling someone to process your feelings, meditate and allow the emotions to move through you without explaining or sharing them. You can hold your own energy and process your own emotions without outsourcing that work. Constant emotional dumping creates a perception of you as broken, needy, and always in crisis, broadcasting an undesirable energy during this critical full moon. To step into a new level of power and sovereignty, you want to be seen as solid, stable, and in control, not by pretending, but by doing the internal work to become that person. This is impossible while constantly reinforcing the identity of someone struggling and needing help. The fifth communication to avoid is reactionary responses to triggers or provocations. During this full moon, people will push your buttons, intentionally because they sense your growing power and want to undermine you, or unconsciously because the amplified energy makes everyone more reactive. Regardless, you'll find yourself in situations where someone's words or actions make you want to react immediately, snap back, defend yourself, or put them in their place. This is the trap because reacting from that triggered, emotional place results in loss of power, composure, alignment, giving the other person exactly what they wanted to drag you down. Reactionary communication is unwise, unstrategic, and never from your higher self. It stems from your wounds, ego, and pain, making the situation worse. When triggered during this full moon, and you will be, the instruction is simple. Don't respond immediately or while activated. Step away, create space, breathe, and process privately. Only consider responding if you still feel the need after calming down, returning to your center, and checking in with your higher self. Even then, respond calmly, measuredly, with boundaries and strategically, not emotionally, reactively, or to hurt them back. Often, after processing privately, you'll find no need to respond. The person triggering you reveals their own issues, not your weaknesses, showing you who they are, not who you are. Allow their behavior to speak for itself without defending, arguing, or correcting it. Note what was revealed and adjust your relationship accordingly. The sixth and critical communication to avoid is oversharing on social media. Social media is among the most dangerous places for your energy during this full moon. Gemini governs communication and information exchange, making social media an amplified and distorted version of that. During this full moon, you'll feel tempted to post about your experiences, share thoughts and feelings publicly, and inform everyone about your life. Resist this urge. Posting on social media broadcasts your energy to hundreds or thousands of people, most of whom you lack a genuine connection with. Whether they comment or like your post, they absorb your energy, form opinions, and project their own issues onto your story, creating an energetic drain you may not realize until it's too late. Furthermore, social media fosters a false sense of connection and validation. Vulnerable posts elicit comments and likes, which feel good momentarily, creating an illusion of being seen and supported. However, this validation is shallow and temporary, preventing you from doing the real internal work needed. Instead of sitting with and processing your feelings, you externalize them, seeking validation and comfort from strangers online instead of learning to validate and comfort yourself. During this full moon, minimize social media use. Don't post about your feelings. Share cryptic quotes about your situation or passive-aggressively sub-post about those who have hurt you. Remain quiet, private, and contained. Let people wonder about your activities and be curious about your silence, mystery, privacy, and refusal to constantly broadcast your thoughts and feelings. This is powerful, sovereign, and a declaration that my inner world is sacred, and I won't grant everyone access just because I have a platform. The seventh and final communication to avoid is seeking advice or opinions when you already know what you need to do. This is subtle but important. During this full moon, the high mental energy and urge to communicate might lead you to seek advice on a decision you need to make. However, often, you're not truly seeking guidance, but permission, validation, or confirmation. Asking for advice opens the door to other people's fears, doubts, and limitations influencing your decision-making. Even well-intentioned people will respond based on their experiences, projecting their limitations onto your situation. Without grounding in your own knowing, their input will confuse you, make you second-guess yourself, and potentially dissuade you from what you know you need to do. Trust yourself during this full moon, and that the answers are within you, not external. Trust your intuition over anyone else's opinion, and make decisions without external validation or permission. This is part of stepping into your power and becoming sovereign. Sovereign individuals don't outsource decisions. They consult themselves, listen to their inner guidance, and act on what they know is true, regardless of agreement or understanding from others. These are the 7 communications to avoid during this full moon. I know it feels like much and restrictive, and you might wonder, what if I need to have a conversation? What if staying silent worsens things? Understand that staying silent during this full moon won't worsen things, but speaking prematurely would. This isn't about avoiding necessary conversations forever, but recognizing that right now, most things you think you need to say don't need saying. They're driven by ego, wounds, fear, and the amplified mental and communicative energy of the Gemini supermoon. Giving into that urge will lead to regret, saying things you don't mean, revealing things you wanted private, damaging relationships, and sabotaging opportunities. So, what should you do instead? Here's a strategy for navigating this full moon in sacred silence. First, create a private container for your thoughts and feelings. Use a journal to write everything down, everything you want to say to someone, post on social media, or vent about. The journal becomes your safe space to express without broadcasting, process without performing, and release without sharing. Writing things down privately without an audience often reveals that what you wanted to say wasn't important, or that you were being reactive rather than clear and grounded. Writing helps you process and eliminates the need to speak. Second, implement the 72-hour rule for any communication you believe is urgent. If you must have a conversation, send a message, or address something, wait 72 hours, write it out, but don't send it, sit with it for 3 days, and then revisit it. Most of the time, you'll realize it's unnecessary. The urgency will have passed, the emotions will have settled, and you'll be grateful you didn't act on the impulse. Third, redirect your communicative energy inward. Instead of talking to others, talk to yourself. Instead of sharing thoughts externally, explore them internally. Meditate, reflect, and spend time in quiet. Here's a revised version of the text, refined for clarity and flow while maintaining the original message. Delve into deep contemplation. Interrogate your impulses. What emotions truly lie beneath this urge to speak? What outcome am I hoping to achieve by voicing this thought? Is this impulse arising from a place of healing or from past wounds? Am I attempting to control a situation, or am I genuinely expressing my authentic self? These internal dialogues will illuminate whether communication is truly necessary, and if so, when the appropriate time to communicate arises. Next, discover physical outlets for the intense energy you're experiencing. Often, the impulse to communicate is simply pent-up energy seeking release. While talking can be one avenue for this, explore other avenues, engage in exercise, dance freely, tidy your surroundings, organize a space, or create art. Engage in a physical activity that allows the energy to move through your body rather than escaping through your words. You'll likely find that after physically releasing this energy, the overwhelming urge to talk incessantly diminishes significantly. Cultivate the skill of being present without feeling the need to explain everything. You can be present amongst others without divulging every thought and feeling. You can participate in conversations without dominating them or turning them into personal therapy sessions. You can fully engage in your life without constantly narrating your internal experiences. This is a skill underdeveloped by many, as our culture often prioritizes constant communication and self-expression. However, there's profound strength in being the person who listens more than they speak, who observes more than they explain, who is fully present without needing to command attention. Employ affirmations to reinforce your commitment to this period of sacred silence throughout the day, particularly when you feel the urge to speak. Repeat affirmations such as, "My silence holds power. My truth exists independently of whether it is spoken aloud. I trust my intuition to guide me in discerning when speaking serves me and when silence is the better course. I am not obligated to explain myself to anyone. I honor my inner world by shielding it from unnecessary exposure." These affirmations serve to reprogram the societal conditioning that suggests constant communication is necessary to be seen, heard, or validated. Remember, this is a temporary instruction to hold your tongue. This call to sacred silence is not a permanent decree. It is specifically for this window of time surrounding the full moon. During these crucial days in early December, when the energetic climate renders premature communication particularly detrimental, once the full moon's energy subsides and you've successfully navigated this period, there will be appropriate times to engage in necessary conversations, to share your truth when it's genuinely required, and to communicate from a place of clarity and strength, rather than reaction and woundedness. However, for now, within this specific window, silence is your shield. Silence is your power. Silence is your strategic advantage. I understand this is challenging. I recognize that every instinct within you may be clamoring to speak, to explain, to defend, to share. But I implore you to trust me in this. Trust that the universe, in its wisdom, is guiding you to be still at this moment. Trust that your breakthrough is not contingent upon explaining yourself to those who may not understand. Trust that your power flourishes in silence, not in incessant communication. This full moon is testing your capacity for sovereignty, for self-containment, and for remaining steadfast on your path without seeking external validation or understanding. And if you can successfully navigate this test, if you can maintain this sacred silence, Even when every fiber of your being yearns to speak, you will emerge from this full moon portal, more powerful, more aligned, and more unstoppable than ever before. Your breakthrough awaits you on the other side of your ability to hold your words. Therefore, my final instruction for the next 48 to 72 hours, extending from now through December 4th and slightly beyond, is this: commit to sacred silence. Commit to refraining from explaining yourself to those who lack understanding. Commit to not defending yourself against falsehoods or misunderstandings. Commit to abstaining from prematurely revealing your plans. Commit to avoiding emotional dumping on others. Commit to resisting reactions to triggers. Commit to avoiding oversharing on social media platforms. Commit to forgoing seeking advice when you already possess your truth. Simply be still, be quiet, be sovereign in your silence. And if you are prepared to make that commitment, if you grasp the power and necessity of what I am asking you to do, then type "I stay silent" in the comments now. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your pact with yourself and with the universe. Let that be your pledge to safeguard your energy, your power, and your breakthrough by honoring the sacred directive to remain silent during this pivotal time. This is your test. This is your initiation. This is your chance to demonstrate that you have transcended the need for constant communication and external validation. The universe is observing. Your higher self is waiting. And your breakthrough hinges on your ability to remain silent, even when every impulse urges you to speak. Embrace silence. Embrace power. Embrace sovereignty. Your future self will be grateful.